Good evening, YouTube. That was kind of corny. But anyways, I just wanted to do a little update on my dendrobiums. My dendrobium kirishiki, springbird kirishiki, and the no ID dendrobium, which I believe is either a memory fizz or to my kids, I believe. Let me see, what did I mark it down here as? Things that are similar. Okay, let's see, we got dendrobium love memory fizz or dendrobium spring smile lovely paradise with that nice chicken scratch. So dare I start up the conversation again about mini dendrobium nobilis? I won't be a jerk, but I'm really happy with this plant in particular. I had gotten a springbird before, but it was like a kiki. It was a division, and I just could not get it to root or grow for me, and it died. That was when I kind of gave up on dendrobiums, at least the nobly types. So these two are my like shining stars that I finally redeemed myself. But anyways, we can see the plant that I basically bought. It had about these canes here in the middle that are bare now. They were all in flower too. So there's about 10 canes, but you can see through the summer, this plant has literally tripled in size. And there is still one new growth just now starting. But I have growths that are finishing off, and I have growths that are still going. What's this on this one? Yeah, so, and once again, the plant's only about 8 inches tall, 10 inches, maybe max 12 inches. And I'm hoping that it's gonna bloom profusely for me. It'll be so nice. But yeah, just look at that. I'm so happy. You would think though, with a plant this big, that the root system, I actually had to repot it because it fell, but you would think that the root system would be just massive on this, and it's not. But it's sustaining and taking care of the plant. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one. Really happy with both my dendrobiums this year. I'll just set that one down. We'll get to that one in a bit. But this one is like my most exciting one for me. I got the plant. It had them 3 large canes here. Plus, I'd say, let's just turn the plant around the back. So we had like some small little ones like this. Some thicker ones, sorry about the camera, some thicker ones, but the 3 largest. And then it came with some new growths too. So these canes are the ones that I bought it with. They were in flower. Then I had a few new growths on it, like maybe I'd say 3, which were, was it this one? Anyway, they're smaller in this size. That's because they grew over the winter, and they bloomed a little bit for me. But then during the spring, this thing just really took off, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think even like this one, and no, just the one in the back. So 14 new growths on it. And you can see we're up here at the top of this growth, and they're almost the size of that. They're not finished growing yet. All of them are actually still growing. So I'm not giving it a rest. I didn't give it a rest before when it flowered. But what the thing is I get a temperature change. So my temperature doesn't drop below 70 degrees, But this is the thing: is at night it gets to 70 degrees. During the day in here, it gets up to the 80s and 90s, and if it's really bright and sunny, sometimes it reaches 100. I don't want it to, but it does. So that's where the temperature change comes in. You know, sometimes we think that we have to chill these things down. I don't think it's necessarily a chill down. It's just the temperature difference. It needs a difference. So I guess from 100 degrees, this would be chilling down if it gets to 70. But, you know, to me, 70 is like normal living temperatures for us. So if you're able to probably keep things that need a temperature difference in like a window where it warms up a little bit more, like a western window or a southern window where the temperatures will heat up a little bit more from the sun because it's the afternoon, you might be able to get away with blooming things, growing stuff in the house, because that area will warm up during the evening and then cool down again at night, kind of like similar to me because I have the western exposure. I keep my cool growers in my house in the eastern exposure. Them are like my Miltoniopsis and my Zygos, and also my Miltonia. So, but anyways, back to the dendrobium. Yeah, I'm just super happy. Well, I guess we'll see what kind of success I have though later on in the spring next year, whether these things come out in bud or not, or with kikis or what. We'll see what happens. But I'm just super excited about the size of the plant. I can already see like nodes on this, and this is this year's growth, so I'm not sure what that one's going to be. This was over the winter last year, and that's starting to get some bumps. Also, this one has some little nodes peeking. So yeah, I'll say I'm excited about this. We'll see what it looks like. Some of the canes, now the older canes, are starting to lose a few of their leaves, but otherwise they still have them on. Fertilizing, I'll be honest with you, I don't really get too crazy about how I fertilize things. I got all different types of plants. Sometimes I do measure for my orchids and do kind of a lower, but sometimes I just use the regular fertilizer. Sometimes I use my RO water and measure out my fertilizer for my orchids. And there's other times when I'm just watering everything with the garden hose connected to the tap with fertilizer. So obviously the TDS is going to be way higher because I'm not starting with 0. I'm just using plain tap water. So that plus the fertilizer, and I just use like a generic kind of like dispenser that you hook to the hose, and you set a little dial according to how many tablespoons per gallon or ounces, or you know, whatever the mixture rate that you're supposed to have, and it does it by itself. So I don't even know, I never even tested it with a TDS meter to see where it was even at. So, you know, sometimes they get a lot, sometimes they get a little, and you know, it's just the way it is. So, and I actually got these growing in. This one was potted up in lava, but I had to up pot it because it's getting so big. So I potted it in this bigger container with more lava, but the original was small lava and small bark. So it's doing okay. And I actually, over the course of the summer, did unpot it once, just to clean the algae out of the bottom here, and the root ball was like completely filling this container. So yeah, I think sometimes we also get confused when people like to say that the plants like to get tight, you know, and then we wonder why the plant kind of starts to die off. You know, they like to be tight in their pot, supposedly. But, I mean, really, in nature, what is confining these things from growing as big as they want? Only the conditions. So, if they're getting enough moisture and enough of the right conditions, then they're going to get big and spread their roots out everywhere. You know, so I think sometimes some of the logic of, you know, needing them to feel secure in their pot with, you know, a small pot to bloom and all that, you know, doesn't really make sense, because, I mean, do they have a pot in nature? No. So I think it's just giving them the right conditions for their roots to grow in in whatever size. Obviously, if you have one tiny kiki, you're not going to put it in a thing this big. But for the plant that I had, plus now all these grows, I had to do something, because I'm pretty sure this thing's going to chuck out a whole bunch of new growths later on next year too. It's probably going to even double in size again. So, I mean, for 1 year, I am super happy with this. Thing has over 15 canes, I'd say, on it. So, who knows? Maybe I'll have to join an orchid society to go show this off. Okay, so then a recent little purchase that I had from eBay, from one of my the sellers that I like to go to, is this dendrobium nano chip. It's my only Latoria type dendrobium. It's dendrobium nano chip, which is microchip by Aberrans, and I couldn't pass it up. It has 12 spikes on it, and it's a fairly huge plant. It has these 2 new growths here, new growth here, new growth here, so 4 new growths. Some of these canes have pushed out 3 spikes on them, some have only 1, some have 2. There's one on here that's still coming right here. So yeah, so for actually, you guys are gonna be a little bit mad at me, for $20 got this plant from the seller that I like to go to here in Wisconsin. Buds are still opening. So yeah, that was a steal, I feel. And I was the only one who bid on it. So I had a microchip before, I believe. Yeah, it was a microchip, but I got it from a vendor and it started getting all kinds of spots on its leaves. So I just got super nervous, and I got rid of them. I had a few Latoria type dendrobiums and some denphals, and I just got super nervous. Like, they started getting like these black ringy things on here, and I just ended up dumping it because I didn't even want to take a chance. And at that time, after that had happened, I completely kind of just dumped a lot of my collection, because I felt like something happened to it, because I used to kind of share water and things of that nature. I mean, I still kind of do sometimes, but I try to keep everything in its own dish. Not to say that I don't have it dripping on the other plants, but I try to keep that, I guess, to a minimum. But I've been learning to take some precautions, whereas I don't think I'm ever gonna stop watering the way I do, because I just like the way it increases the humidity. I just use a hose or a pitcher where I dump into each thing and let them get drenched. But more of a precaution, or measures of treating every plant that comes in with a fungicide and a systemic fungicide and bactericide. So I mean, if it's virus, it's virus. Obviously that isn't going to kill it, but as far as things like fusarium and other bacterial problems or fungal problems, I feel like I'm just going to treat everything with it, because I don't want anything bad to happen. Because I've noticed from grocery stores, Trader Joe's, vendors from eBay, even even like I said, the vendor last year when I went to the orchid show here in Milwaukee, that's where I got these Latorio dendrobiums from that were suspect. These people get them in. This was a lady that actually grew in her house, and she wasn't there this year, so it kind of leads me to think that she did have fusarium and some other issues going on there, because she wasn't at the orchid show this year, and all she did would buy them in, grow them in her house for a little bit, and then pass them on. And to me, it's like, I feel that they were probably infected with something. But anyways, that's my little story about my dendrobiums that I'm so proud of this year. All the lovely growths. I'm hoping that they'll make me even prouder when they flower, but we will see. And just, once again, look at this mini compared to this huge dendrobium. I mean, it's a third of the size. So there are small noblies out there. You just got to look for them, and just got to use common sense whether it's an immature plant or a plant that clearly shows that it's a small cultivar. So, all right, thanks guys for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.